सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयम् यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। पापन्तत्वात् अनित्यत्वात् आत्मासत्वात् च या बहिः प्रीति। The प्रीति, that the love or attachment one has for bahihi, for anything other than the self, meaning for the near and dear ones. So, as Lord Anabhishtaktaha, putra dara gruhadeshu, in putra dara, gruha and all of these, the priti which is there. Examine that priti, examine the attachment, examine the happiness that you seem to get from these sources. Tapan tattvat, because it results into santapa or dukkha, jesam sparshaya bhogaha, dukkha yona evate. Ultimately, they are all cause of dukkha only. Anityatvat, even when they are there, they are only fleeting, unreliable and predictable. Atmarthatvat, preeti that you get from anywhere is also some self-interest is involved there. That there is no preeti at the vyavaharika level, which is based on our ragadveshas, usually, that also always involve naturally selfishness on the part of the person who loves you. Tam pritim atmani samhritya. All that preeti that we find everywhere, atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavat. That's a lesson that was given by Sri Jagnavalkya. He Maitreyi, whatever love you have for anything or anybody, atmas, that represents really the love for the self. So recognizing that what is involved in any love or any attachment, nothing but love for oneself, seeing that fact, that is called withdrawing that love into oneself. How do you withdraw? By seeing that love is really love for my own self. Meaning that becoming free from the love, attachment, fascination, everything that is he outside. So this is a description of Vairagya. However, Preeti is used here by the teacher, love is used. So love is there. Not that you become devoid of love. Except that the love which existed in wrong places is now focused on the right place. So vairagya does not mean dryness, lack of feeling, or lack of concern, etc. Vairagya means only freedom from dependence. The love that involves dependence. The dependence part is what we have to get over with, not love. Independence, some selfishness is not on my part also. So we have to examine all relationships and make every relationship free from the Atma Tattvam, self-centeredness. Make the love free from demand. Then you discover that love for your own self. So discovering love for oneself, that is most important. Tam pritim atmani samrutya. One entity which I find very difficult to love is myself. And therefore, discover that love that you have for anything or anywhere is only for the love for yourself. See that fact. And thus, transform all that love or discover that love to be the love for the self. Because then there can be desire to know the self. How can there be desire for knowing the self if I don't love the self? So therefore, that vividisha or desire to know, this is a way of describing antahakana shuddhi or vairagya in this way, a unique way. That before there is a desire, genuine desire to know something, there is love for what it is that you want to know. So discover the love for the self. Then becomes satya. Even that is what you want to know. Gurum ashraye, one must resort to the Guru. Shantam, prajnam, tathamuktam, nishkriyam, brahmani sthitam gurum. Who is Shanta enjoys tranquility of the mind. Prajnam enjoys the wisdom. Muktam is totally free from any dependence, any bondage and dependence, meaning free from any sense of limitedness. Nishkriyam, therefore, free from the need to do any action prompted by an agenda. Nishkriyam means free from the need to perform an action based on self-need. Free from that action. Brahmani sthitam, abiding in Brahman. Because of that, of course, other qualities are there. Shrutehe acharyavan veda shrutehe. One must approach a teacher of this nature. The Shruti says, Acharyavan Veda. One who is Acharya, he alone knows. So you should have an Acharya, meaning you must become a Shishya, a disciple. Tad Viddhi, Bhagavad Gita also says, many Shrutis and Smritis also prescribe that the aspirant must necessarily approach a teacher, take refuge into a teacher. Upadeshante jnanam jnaninaha tattvadarshinaha. Lord Krishna says that when you approach the teacher properly, when the teacher finds a competent student, upadeshante, then they will definitely impart knowledge to you. Saguru tared yuktam shishyam shishya gunanvidam. Shishya is there, but shishya gunanvitaha shishya. He declares himself a disciple, but then possesses the attribute or qualities or virtues, I should say, that a disciple should possess. Prashanta Chittaya Chitendriyaya was said earlier in this text itself. Brahma Vidya Plavena Ashu Swantadvant Mahodadim Tarayed. The Guru should help him cross Tudati, the ocean of Swantadvanta, the ignorance of the self. Obtaining the heart of the disciple, the Guru should help him cross that ocean of ignorance or ocean of suffering. Brahma Vidya Plavena, by the raft of Brahma Vidya, self-knowledge. Purvachatam Tattvato Brahma Vidya, Yinaksharam Purusham Veda Satyam. The Upanishad also says that the teacher should impart the knowledge by which the disciple. So Satyam, there was Satyarthi, is the word used in the previous verse. So because Mundaka used the word Satyam, and so Purvachatam Tattvato Brahma Vidya, Yinaksharam Purusham Veda Satyam. How does the teacher help him? By unfolding the meaning of Mahavakya. Tattvamasi first starts with the Tvampada. So it is not that you have to impart knowledge of Tvampada, but Tvampada Shodhanam. The knowledge or conclusions about Tvam or Atma are already there, plenty, which are of course a basic problem. And therefore the disciple makes the Guru makes the disciple see the anatomy of every conclusion about the self. What is anatomy? That every conclusion about the self is born of identification with the non-self, with Upadhi. And identification, different aspects of the Upadhi brings about different complexes. Therefore, help the Shishya recognize the Brahma or notions as notions. Help him see the true nature of the self, which is consciousness. How the self-effulgent, self-revealing consciousness is your nature. And how that alone is manifest everywhere, including the consciousness that you are, manifests as the various thoughts of vrittis arising in your mind. What is the vritti of a thought? You can say tentatively consciousness plus a name and form. When consciousness assumes a name and form, it's called a thought. Except that each thought is changing. Does it mean that the consciousness is changing? He says no. Shakta upadibhi shaktaya vidyante. The Shaktis are there, power is there. Power to see, drishti, power to touch, sprushti, power to hear, shruti, power to smell, griti, grati, power to think, mati, power to know, vijnati. This club is Shakta. The Jnana Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti. All these different Shaktis which are manifest as different thoughts in the mind are nothing but the manifestations of consciousness. Except that the Bheda, the diversity you find, that where seeing is different, hearing is different, touching is different, and tasting is different. The difference is not in the consciousness, it is in the upadhi, the respective organ of perception, which becomes instrumental in creating that vritti. So drishti means seeing, creating the vritti of seeing, the eyes become instrumental. That's called upadhi, and that is what creates a difference between one vritti and the other. Otherwise, the Mahasamanya, the common denominator, is consciousness. Atma itya upasida. That's what the Upanishad said. Apaya udbhutihina bhi. How can it be that the consciousness unchanged or changeless and still appears changing? Could those changing change not be nature of consciousness? No. Yatha ravihi deepyan, how the sun shining, rashmibihi by his rays, which are apaya udbhuti hina bihi, vinasha janma shunya bihi. So sun illumines vinasha. Utpatti, all of these are illumined by the sun, by the rays that are devoid of utpatti and vinasha. So it means the utpatti, vinasha, the birth, death, etc., that the sun illumines, all belongs to upadhi, belongs to name and form, and not to the sun that illumines them. So utpatti, vinasha, that belongs to various vrittis, also drishti, shruti, all belongs to the upadhi, the mind, not to consciousness. Saradruk sarvagashuddha saram janadi sarvada. The consciousness does not suffer utpatti, vinasha. Sarvada janati, it always shines. Janati says knows means always shines. Shuddha, sarvagaha, all pervasive, sarvadruk, seeing everything. Then what is that causes this idea that I am a samsari? Parichinnoham, limited I am. Karta bhokta I am. Happy, unhappy I am. Anya dushtihi, anatma dushtihi. But there is a dushti or identification, anya or anatma. Sharirastha. Because the atma, the consciousness obtained in sharira. Where the subtle body is, that is where the consciousness manifests as life. Where subtle body is not, there also consciousness manifests in all this table chair as existence. But as life, drashti, shruti, to have that, you require a subtle body. Sharirastha, that subtle body obtains within the gross body. Subtle body is confined to the gross body. And identification with the subtle body creates the idea that I am also confined to this body. So, sharirastha. Sri Kaunteya Nakarote Lipyadhe, 13th chapter, Lord Krishna says, even though he is in the body, supposedly. So, ignorant person feels that I am in the body because of identification with the subtle body. And therefore, the identification is very habitual with the gross body, subtle body. Had these fellows not been there, the identification may not have been there. Because you cannot be alive unless the gross body is there, the subtle body is there. They're always right in proximity. And therefore, there is a habitual identification called sharirastha. It means taking sharira, anya anatma as self. Tavan matra avidya, ignorance that causes identification, the self seeing that tavan matra, I am only as much as the body. So avidya, that's the definition of avidya given here. Avidya has avaran, of course, but by vikshepa we know. So vikshepa is described here as avidya. Of course, vikshepa cannot be unless avaran is. So there are some who describe avidya only as this, as vikshepa. But important to know there is avidya, then only knowledge. That is vikshepa or brahma about the self is all created by ignorance or avaran, therefore knowledge has a role to play. Jilendvadi upamavistu tad dharma cha vibhavyate. Suppose self is in the body, all right. Why do you feel that self is limited? Atma is limited, Atma, you say it is so sarvagaha, shuddha, sarvadruk, ever, then So if the is ever pure, ever one, changeless, that's what you are, the consciousness is. What makes me feel that I am restless? I am limited. I am one among many, limited, restless. Jalandvadi upamabhistu. Just as Hindu, the moon, the very jalam of the water also appears as many and limited, and so also Atma. Tad dharma cha vibhavyate. So the moon appears to possess the dharma, the attributes of water, the reflecting medium, and so also Sharirastaha, Atma, that sort of obtains the body. So thus this Jalastha, this Hindu seems to be in the water. Similarly, Atma, that just because the moon appears in water does not mean it is located there. So also Atma feels like it is in the body, does not mean that it is confined or within. That withinness is the notion born of identification. The moon may feel that I am many, that I am limited, I am restless. Tad dharma, that is how samsaritvam is explained. A sense of limitedness and a notion that I am possessed of the attributes of this upadhi. Judging oneself in this manner is called samsaritvam. It is self-judgment. Samsaritvam is nothing but the self-judgment. That a judgment arising from aviveka. Because of that there is this nisargika. There is when subtle body is there, then this reflection is going to be there. The identification of Brahma. But wherever subtle body is there, the consciousness is reflected. And so, it may even appear as possessed of the dharmas of the body or mind. But when we look at the reflection of the moon, we know that the smallness, dullness, restlessness all belongs to water, that viveka is there. We do not have to separate the moon from water, understand? Even when the moon is appearing in the water, when you see that moon, you know that all other things they belong to water. So also all samsayatvam belongs to the upadhi. So this is how the teacher first makes the student understand how samsayatvam, the sense of smallness, limitedness, resulting into unhappiness, sadness, is because of this identification with non-self, anya drishti. Because anya is explained now as sthula, sukshma, kana sharira, or waking, dream, deep sleep. So how the anya drishti should become atma drishti? Now we are shown in the next verse the method by which the anya drishti can become atma drishti. So the verse 57 says, Drishtva bahyam nimilyatha suratva tat pravihaya cha athon milyat mano drishti brahma prapnoti anadvagaha. Recognizing that Atmana samsarade, that Atma is samsari, I am samsari, upadhi paramarshamantarena anupalambhat, the samsaritvam, the sense of confinement, sense of limitedness, possessing all the limitedness that really belong to the upadhi, that I cannot think of myself as a limited being unless in that the awareness or consciousness of the body also is involved. So there is a consciousness together of self and also the upadhi. Not being able to separate, distinguish between them, that has to lump it together, and therefore the self is equated to upadhi. So upadhi paramarsam antarena. Without paramarsha, without the awareness of the upadhi, not only that, but unless I look at myself through the standpoint of upadhi, if that is, then only samsayitvam is there, otherwise it's not there. So how do you see yourself without the consideration of upadhi? Therefore, important to deny or let go the upadhi, negate the upadhi. See yourself as you are. If awareness of upadhi is not there, then upadhi paramarsha also is not there. If I am aware of the body, then I judge myself from the standpoint of body. There is no awareness of anatma, then looking at myself from the standpoint does not arise. Then I look at myself as I am. So create an experience of recognizing yourself without the blending or associating upadhi by negating the upadhi, by negating the identification and negating the awareness of upadhi here. So drishtva bahyam jagaritam. The first, of course, that is the experience of the waking state. Drishtva, seeing what is waking. Drashtru, drushya, anvaya, vyatireka. The waking state involves the upadhi which is vyashti and samashti. The individual upadhi and the cosmic upadhi. So vyashti, the individual upadhi, from that standpoint, when you look at from the standpoint of the vyashti, then you are a drashta. And the upadhi is drushya. You look at the universe and you see what you appreciate is karyam, then there is karanam. So we have the experience of vyashti and samashti, the individual in total. At each level this viveka is done. Anvaya vyatireka. Drishya is there, drashta is there. Drishya is not there, drashta is still there. Therefore, at the individual level, drishya is no separate from drashta. What is drashta? So also, the karyam is there, karanam is there. Karanam is there, karya is not there. Therefore, the karya jagat is about karanam. So this is how the viveka is done in the waking state. Meaning that in the waking state, this is all resolved into, so first recognizing that what is waking state is drashta and karanam. Here the first viveka is waking state. Drushya does not have an independent existence. What is drashta? That alone manifests as drishyam and karanam manifests as karya. Then, atha smrutva, they resolve all this into, so all the gross individual upadhi and the cosmic is all resolved into the subtle, individual and cosmic. Jagadrishta vasana karyam swapna darshanam smriti tam smrutva. Apply the same viveka at the level of dream. Therefore, drashta and drishya, and vyashti and samashti. So, dream drashta is real among drashta and drishya and karanam. Except that drashta is only vasanamaya. So, vihaya. Now, next one is tat pravihaya. So now all the subtle body which is vasana, sahita, manah pranendriya, sanghata, subtle body in the dream is not the product of vasana. So that is resolved into the cause. Now we are coming to drashta, dushya, effect and cause. That effect is resolved into cause which is the panchatan matra. Your panchatan matra is what? That also comes of karan karya. So prasvitan matra is karya, jalatan matra is karanam, jalatan matra is karya, agnitan matra is karanam. That is karyam, and then vayutan matra, that is karyam, akashatan matra. That is karyam, and what is nothing but ignorance? Sabhas ajnana, ignorance always involves the, is alive, and by consciousness. So what is this sabhas ajnanam? So this is what? Deep sleep. So in the waking itself, you are now experiencing different states. When your eyes are open, when you contact with the gross world, that is the waking state. When you withdraw your perception from the gross world and focus on the subtle world, then comes the dream state. Without that also, and all there is now is sabhas ajnanam, then that's the deep sleep state. Atha unmilya atmano drushtim. Now unmilya, now you must open up the atma drushti. So what remains in this experience, compared to deep sleep experience, is sabhas ajnana. All there is ignorance, but ignorance there means the reflected consciousness is there. So what is that? What is the ajnanam that you experience in this state? You are awake, by the way, you are not sleeping. So this is the description of a person who is awake. Wakefully you have resolved the gross and the subtle, waking and dream. And wakefully you are asleep. Meaning that you are experiencing the ajnana. So now how do you resolve that? By recognizing the reality of that. The ajnanam cannot be called sat, existent, non-existent, part, sannapya, vivatmikano. That it is in fact just the appearance, it's a projection, there is no reality at all in sabhas ajnana. And therefore you just drop it because it's not real. Vekena bhaditva, recognizing that is unreal, therefore non-existent really. Meaning does not enjoy existence of its own. All that remains atmana saravastha sakshitaya. Everything is thus resolved, what remains is this sarva avastha sakshi, the witness of all the three states. Chidananda matrasya dushtim unmilya, recognizing, because that is there anyway. No, when there is nothing to draw your attention now to other than the anya drushti is all gone now. How anya drushti is resolved completely and what remains is atma drushti, so remaining is atma. Jnana prakasha swarupam unmilya. Recognize that you are jnana swarupa prakasha, that's what you are, that is your drushti. Brahma prapnoti anadvagaha. Without any travel, he attains Brahman, sees himself as Brahman. So this is how the teacher helps the disciple recognize the true nature as Brahman. Anadvagaha Brahma prapnoti. One attains Brahman without traveling on any path, because Brahman is the nature of the self. That being the case, the mukti is unconditional mukti. Pranadyekam trikam hitva. Trikam hitva. So this verse that we just discussed explain how the trikam, the three are negated. The waking, the dream, the deep sleep. That's the anuvada, reiteration of what was described in the previous verse. Aganyana, already described, Aganyana Mahodadim Tirna, recognize Aganyana as non-existent, all there is the witness consciousness. Svatmastha, how come there is no path involved here? Because all that separates you from Brahman is ignorance. If separation was in time, place or condition, then some travel or activity will be involved. Separation only by ignorance, therefore no path is involved. Svatmastha, it seems as abiding in oneself, Nirguna, Shuddha, Buddha, Mukta, Svato hi saha. Svata, by his own essential nature, he sees that I am Nirguna, devoid of all qualities, attributes, ever pure, ever enlightened, ever free. Ajoham chamaro mrityu ajaro bhaya evacha sarvajna sardukshuddha iti buddho na jayate. Buddha is woken up. He said, Atha unmilya atmano drishtim. Recognizing that ignorance is non-existent. All there is the Chidananda, the witness of all the three states. Unmilya, opening that drishti, meaning seeing yourself as that. So what is that vision of seeing? Ajoham, Amaroham. See this fact that you are Ajaraha, Amaraha, Ajaha, Amrityu, Ajaraha, Abhayaha, Sarvajnaha, Saradruk, iti, Buddha. So, Unmilya Atma Drishtim, Atmano Drishtim. One who is thus opened up the drishti of oneself and sees Buddha. Buddha means one who is woken up this way. Najayate, he is not born anymore. Prabuddhasya punirjanma bhave hetumaha. How come Prabuddha, the one who is awakened to one's own truth, how come now he is not born? That is free from the cycle of birth and death. Hetum. Verse 60 says, Puroktam yat tamo viyam tannasthiti vinischaya. So here in the previous verse also we saw in Viveka, when it comes to the deep sleep state, or meaning that only Ajnanam is left, not deep sleep but then similar state. This experience is awake. The gross is now merged into subtle, subtle is merged into causal, and causal is merged into self because it is non-existent. Just an appearance. Yat tamo viyam tannasti iti vinischaya. So when this vinischaya is there, that tannasti, this ignorance is never there. Never there. Had it been there, you cannot negate it. Whatever you can negate is not really there. That's what it means. What is meant by negation is whatever it is that you can exclude from your consciousness. It's not there. Whatever you're conscious of is because consciousness imparts satta sphuti to that. That is why you're conscious of something. If you exclude something from your consciousness, then that doesn't have existence of its own anyway. So this wise person excluded the ignorance also from his consciousness. Yat tamo viyam tannasti iti vinischaya. Neither sat nor asat. If it existed, satchet na pratiyeta, na badhyeta, asatchet na pratiyeta. Fact that now there is no pratiti. That wise person could see that ignorance doesn't have existence of its own, therefore he can withdraw his attention from ignorance. So ignorance is no more there in his awareness. That can be only if ignorance is non-existent. If anything has its own existence, you cannot not know it because it is there. Kasmin vikale sata jnana matra tirodhana samavad. When something disappears in wake of knowledge, like darkness disappears in the wake of light, so darkness doesn't have an existence of its own. So also ignorance disappears in wake of knowledge, therefore ignorance did not exist on its own. So whatever is negated, meaning whatever you can withdraw your consciousness from, whatever you can exclude from your consciousness is not there. Therefore avidya or tamobijam is not there. Tadabhave koto janma. What gives you janma is this tamobijam. The ignorance is the seed of everything, or avarana, seed of vikshepa, anyadrishti, identification of anatma, and superimposing the anatma dharma on oneself. And that's how creating this ground for the process of birth and death. Tadabhave kuto janma. When what caused you the janma, that ignorance is not there in the wake of knowledge, Brahma ekatvam vijanataha. One knows if Brahma ekatvam, identity with Brahman, where is the question of birth for that one? Because the cause of birth is ignorance. The tamo bijam. That tamas itself is bijam, the cause, and when that is not there, the effect cannot be there. So janma is an effect. The janma is an effect which presupposes a cause. When the cause is eliminated, the effect of janma is not there. But it says purvat vyavhara darshanat. Question is, atmanam sakshat pashyatopi. Even the one knows the self as Brahman, as an immediate reality. These wise people also are purvat vyavhara darshanat. We see in them the vyavhara, the interaction with the world just like before. Apparently, this knowledge has not made any change in the vyavhara. He continues to walk and talk and eat and whatever was doing earlier said, just only for sustaining the body, but anyway, we see that vyavhara. So meaning he functions through the gross body, through the subtle body, the anya is there. The vyavhara, atma is there, anya also is there. Will it not happen that like before, there will be identifying the anya and therefore it will be back to samsara when it starts vyavhara? When he is by himself, when there is no vyavhara, then he knows there is no anatma. But without anatma, without upadhi, you cannot carry out a vyavhara at all. So will you not get again identified with upadhi, mingle back, will you not become a samsari again? Meaning that will not the upadhi have influence upon him, that's the idea. When he starts now functioning through the upadhi, will not upadhi prevail upon him and make him a samsari? Because he mingles with upadhi. The anya is also there, upadhi, and vyavahara, and atma is also there. So when atma thus mingles with anatma, will not atma get influenced? So example is given, verse 61, Kshira sarva yathodrutya kshiptam tasmin purvavata buddhyadehe jnana tatha satya nadehi purvad bhaved. If samsara comes by vyavahara, then why to keep away from vyavahara? Says no. Kshirat sarpihi yatha udhrutya. For milk, by process of churning, etc., when you have extracted the butter or the ghee, very interesting example, all the day-to-day examples. So the ghee has a different density. Milk has a different specific gravity, I should say. So now that ghee, which is now dense, you put it back in milk, it doesn't become mixed, it retains independent identity. It retains the separation, let us say. That lump of ghee which has been extracted from milk, now having become ghee, when that lump is placed back in milk, it retains its independence. Doesn't become one with milk. Buddhyadehe, similarly also the wise person extracted his consciousness or self from the upadhi by the process described earlier. Anya drushti becomes swadrushti. Now it has a different specific gravity. Now it becomes a dense consciousness. And other things are all like milk. Ignorance and everything like milk. Now it's like dense consciousness. So just as even when you add this ghee in the milk, ghee remains its separate identity. Nissari krute kshipte kshiri kshiptam na purvat aviviktam bhavati. When the lump of ghee is again dropped in milk, avivikta is not there, aviveka is not there, mixing up is not there, it retains viveka, separatedness. What, that lump of ghee? Tada asatyat buddhyadehe sangatat pratham atma vivikta. So now that atma is separated from the sanghata by the process described earlier. So now that awareness of atma is there. And anatma also is very clear. Anatma doesn't have real existence, all this is very clear. That non-existent will not become existent. If anatma possesses existence in the first place, then it can again become existent, but it's not there. Therefore, Devadvaya Sangadhimanvan Dehi. So when he again functions through two dehas, subtle body, gross body, Purvat na bhaved, Dehi na bhaved. Even though functioning through deha, it doesn't become Dehi. Aviveka was there. That because of association with deha, he became Dehi. It's like oneness of the milk and ghee. But now he extracted the self from that. Self no more mixes with deha and doesn't become Dehi anymore. You follow? What is meant by becoming one is consciousness, Atma becoming Dehi. Meaning that now entertaining notion that I am a Dehi confined to Deha. Doesn't it mean? So, having now extracted himself, meaning from identification with the body, mind, sense complex, tasmin vidyamano na bhave, he no more becomes obtaining in body. So sharirastha, the sharira is there, he becomes sharirastha. This is natural identification. Purusha prakristoi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan. The Purusha becomes identified with Prakriti. Became Dehi, possessed of Deha, or identified with Deha. When he extracted himself from the Deha, now he becomes Purusha. He now owns up that status of my being Purusha. Then it's not that Prakriti does anything, poor thing. It is not the fault of Upadhi that it does anything. It is that identification, earlier also they were not mixed up. Even though the ghee is of course in the milk, that's an example. But even in a state of ignorance, Atma is not in the Upadhi. So extraction is of a different nature here. That extraction is a process. It is just viveka, recognizing that I am not there. That I am in the body is a notion. Or I am the body is a notion, and I am in the body is notion. The extracting Atma of the body is only becoming free from this notion. That's what it is. It's not a process, it's not a karma. Although separating ghee from milk is karma, etc., which is example is all right. Even that process of karma, doing is not involved, seeing is involved. Therefore, tasmin vidyamanopi. When you have seen clearly that I am not the body, then that ignorance does not stage a comeback. When you abide in this vision, ignorance cannot stage a comeback in the wake of knowledge. So this is how Tare Shishyam. That is how the Guru makes a Shishya see the identity with Brahma. Now Tare, even though Vyavahara, is still free from birth, etc. Now continuing, with the verse 62. Padartha Tikakara says, Padartha Parishodhana Purvakam Vakyat Am Brahmasmi Pratibuddhasya Punah Samsara Bhaya Shanka Nasti iti Ukte Arthe. This is the earth, that is what is said. This is called the Anuvada, reiteration of what is said so far. Padartha Parishodhana Purvakam. When Tvam Pada Parishodhanam is there, what is Ashuddhi there is the notion coming from identification. By de-identifying now, he has become clear about what exactly the nature is. Vakyat Aham Brahmasmi, by Mahavakya, he knows that I am Brahma. So Padartha, Tvam Padartha, he knows consciousness, Tat Padartha also, he is Jagat Karanam consciousness, I am Brahman. Iti Pratibuddhasya. So one who is awakened to one's own nature like this, Punaha Samsara Vaishanka Nasti. Iti Ukte. The earlier verse said that for a wise person like this, Samsara Vaishanka is not there. The earlier verse said that he has no birth. The last verse said that he doesn't have samsara even though he functions through the upadhi. So not only there is Videha Mukti, that there is no birth, there is Jivan Mukti. What is Jivan Mukti? Even though functioning through this upadhi like before, there is no more identification upadhi, and therefore the samsara of the nature of identification is no more there. Iti. So, Pratibuddhasya samsara bhaya shanka nasti iti ukte arthe. So, earlier verse says there is no janma. If samsara is described as janma mrityu, parampara, that is not there. Samsara is described as being identified with upadhi, that is also not there. So, the Jivan Mukti, so Videha Mukti was described, Jivan Mukti is described. The ukte arthe. That's the artha. That is the theme that was conveyed earlier. Now, Anandam Brahmana Vidvan Naviveti Kutasyaneti Shrutim Arthata Pathati. From the Taittiriya Upanishad, Anandam Brahmana Vidvan Naviveti Kutasyaneti. So, Ito Vasunivartana Prapi Manasasaha Anandam Brahmana Vidvan Naviveti. First is the Kadachaneti, then next is the Kutasyaneti. So he is not afraid any time Kadachaneti. No, he is not afraid of any cause at all. There is no source of fear for him. So this is the samsara bhaya shanka nasti. Wise person doesn't have any shanka, any doubt about this samsara, that I will again fall back into samsara, become free from that fear. And so Taittiriya Upanishad emphasizes that. So abhayam pratistham vindate, he becomes, abiding in fearlessness. Anna vivedi kutasyaneti, is free from fear of any source. Shrutim arthatah patati. That Shruti is now explained here, not the words, not the Shabdashaya, but arthatah patati. So next one says, verse number 62. Satyam jnanam anantam cha rasade panchakat param syamudrishyadi shastroktam aham brahmeti nirbhaya. Satyam jnanam anantam cha rasadehe panchakat param syam. Param Brahma, aham syam. Is not aham syam, I am. Aham Brahma syam, I am Brahma, aham Brahmasmi. What's the nature of Brahma? Satyam jnanam anantam. So here again, summarizing the Taittiriya Upanishad. That I am Brahman of nature Satyam Jnanam Anantam, and that was shown by Panchakosha Viveka, Rasadehe Panchakat Param. What is Rasa? Sava Esha Purusha Anna Rasamaya. So Annamaya Kosha is Anna Rasamaya, Rasa Kosha. So Rasadehe, bring back to memory exactly what is said in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Satyam Jnanamanda Brahma Lakshana Vakyam, Sarupa Lakshanam, and it was shown how that is so, Brahma Puchyam Pratishtha, etc., how to recognize your true nature by the Panchakosha Viveka. Rasadehe Panchakat Param Brahma Aham Syam, that Brahman I am. Adrushyadi Shastroktam again. This is also Taittiriya Upanishad. Summary of the whole Upanishad is here in one verse. Aham Brahmeti Nirvaya, Abhayam Pratistham Vindate, becomes Nirvaya. So Tika says, Rasadehe, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, Kosha Panchakat. So Panchakat means Kosha Panchakat. Panchakat, the group of 5. Kosha Panchakat, but the kosha, the sheath of the 5 sheaths. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya. That's what the Upanishad said. Param, one that transcends all the kosha. Tat Adhara Bhutam. This Adhara that sustains the 5 koshas. You can call Adhisthana Bhutam also. So one that gives Satta's food, it is Panchakosha. Brahma Puchyam Pratishtha. So therefore, the ultimately Anandamaya Kosha. Tasmadva etasmad vijnanamaya anyantaratma anandamaya. Then, yeah, right. Tasya priyameva shirah modo dakshinah pakshah pramodo uttarah pakshah ananda atma brahma puchyam pratishtha. So that was the analysis of the Anandamaya Kosha, which also is shown as Ananda, also is a modification. Priyameva Shita also has avayavas or limbs. Priya, Moda, Pramoda, all of this make up the experience of happiness of different degrees, and that's called Anandamaya Kosha. It is described this way just to show that it is anatma, it is vikari. Otherwise, it doesn't, the priya, it can be only pramoda vritti, can be there also. The real Anandamaya Kosha is just pramoda vritti is there, but not identifying with that also. Nasvadayat sukham tatra nissangha prajnaya bhavet, says Gaudavacharya ji, that there also you should not get stuck with that. Na swade sukham tatra. Do not get stuck to the Anandamaya Kosha in enjoying the pleasure of Anandamaya Kosha. Nissanga prajna bhavet. By nissanga bhavet, by prajna, that I am the witnessing, the illumining consciousness. I am not the experience of Ananda. I am Ananda itself. Consciousness that illumines that experience. Nissanga prajna bhavet. Iti nirdishtam yat tadeva adrushye. Again another vakya. Adrushye natme nirukte nilayane bhayam pratishtham vindate. Adrushye means that which is divided of the body. Anatma, adrushye, not perceptible. Anatma, which is not the body. Anirukte, cannot describe in words. Anilaye, doesn't have any adhara. Abhayam pratishtham vindate. So one identified Brahman of that nature gains pratishtha in abhayam, fearlessness. The Shastra, that Brahma I am. Shastroktam Brahma. So Sam Adrushya Shastroktam. So Adrushye Anatme Anirukte Anilayane Abhayam Pratishtha Vindate. Iti Shastra means the Taittiriya Upanishad Vakya. That Brahma I am. So which Brahman you are? That's the Guru makes the Shishya see what Brahman I am. Adrishyam, Anatmyam, Aniruktam, Aniranam. That's Abhayam. Iti Pashyan Nirbhayo Bhavati iti Yojana. There is no Bhaya Shanka Nasti. Again I'll become a samsari, that Bhaya is not there anymore because he has established the Abhayam Pratishtha Vindate, established in fearlessness on account of seeing himself as Brahman. So this is how the text proceeds now. Now we'll continue discussion for the next verse. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah. Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshina Murtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.